Hello, people of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. This is your pastor with this week's installment of Flock Notes. And so here we are we're approaching the second week of Lent. And I know we have a few more weeks, but it seems like Easter's right around the corner because I'm here in my office and I'm preparing stuff for the Easter Vigil because a couple of little things. It's not a big importance to all you guys, but a couple little things have changed, so I want to make sure that everything is as it should be and right and good for all of us for the great celebration of the Easter Vigil. Because we have a big class in OCIA this year, and so a lot of people are making sacraments. And so as we prepare, remember to keep them in your prayers. We had a rite of election with the bishop last week where there was not only us, but people from a lot of parishes, and they had a few different rites of election so that the various parishes could all come. All the people receiving sacraments were acknowledged, and our book of the elect was presented to the bishop. He signed it all off. We're all good to go, and so we're just preparing in these last couple of weeks for the great Easter celebration. And coming up to help us prepare for that Easter celebration, there's two things I want to highlight. One is our penance service, April 2nd. We have two of them, one at 10 a.m., one at 7 p.m. And then also, too, we are pleased this year. You saw me reach over because I was grabbing the flyer for our Lenten mission coming up this year. It's a 2-night mission on Monday, March 24th and Tuesday, March 25th. And Chris Mueller, who is an international Catholic speaker and evangelist, will be presenting to us. But he will also be joined for music by Francis Cabello, who's a Catholic singer, songwriter, musician, composer, all that good stuff. And he's sold albums and different. And so I'm glad to have these two because, especially, I've known Chris a long time, our presenter, Chris Mueller, our presenter, and he will be excellent. And so that's Monday, March 24th and Tuesday, March 25th, 7 p.m. in the church. And so you're all invited. And so I want to talk a little bit about before I get to the readings this week, I will say what I always say every week. Keep posted to the ads right below me. Keep your eyes and ears open to the bulletin and to the announcements at Mass so we can all hear what's going on here. We have quite a lot going on here at OPH, especially during this Lenten season. And also, too, in the bulletin is printed the different penance services for our deanery. So if for whatever reason you can't make the two we're having here, go to one of the other ones. And so, myself and all the priests and Father Min and the priests of the different parishes, we all have the same faculties to forgive sins. And so if you can't make our penance services, feel free to go to one of theirs. Or come to our confession, our normal weekly confessions we have on Saturday morning, or make an appointment at the office, whatever you need to do, so that we can prepare ourselves for the great Easter celebration. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the readings you're going to hear this weekend, especially in the Gospel, because we're going to hear from Luke's Gospel. We're going to hear Luke's version of the Transfiguration. But I want to focus on one thing, and I brought this up before, but I think it's something we all need to know, or need to remember, I think, is right in the very beginning of the Gospel for this Sunday. We're going to hear Luke telling us Jesus took Peter, John, and James and went up the mountain to pray. And so, like I've said before, there's various instances where Jesus takes Peter, James, and John to go pray. And the reason why he chose, I believe, those three is those three weren't just his best friends. I'm sure they were very close. But also, too, we have to remember who Peter, James, and John are. So who is Peter? Our first pope. And so in Peter we see the embodiment of the entirety of the church. We also see in John. John refers to himself in his gospel as the beloved disciple. But what John is doing when he does that, he's not necessarily saying that he personally is the beloved disciple, because he's making himself what's the word I'm looking for? He's making himself representative of the entirety of the apostles from not only that time but till the end of time. So when John talks about the beloved disciple, he's talking about you. He's talking about me. So when we hear that in the Gospel of John, replace that with your name, because you are the beloved disciple. And who's James? James was somebody who bridged that gap for us from the Jewish tradition and making them into we have, as Catholics, a lot of our traditions come from the Jewish traditions. And James bridged that gap from the Jewish faith to this newfound Christian faith. And so when we see Jesus taking Peter, James, and John, he's taking the church, he's taking you and I, and he's taking all those who have, through the Apostle James, is signified as being one of the body of Christ, that bridge that gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And so in that is more than just his three buddies. When he takes Peter, James, and John, he's taking the entirety of the church. He's taking all of the people that are to come. And he is taking those who have come before, who are now one of the fold of the body of Christ. And so we remember that when Jesus is transfigured along with those three apostles on the mountain, that we too are with him and we witness his glory. We witness his dazzling white, and we witness the Father's voice calling out, saying, "This is my beloved Son." And so with that, I want to say I hope you all have had a great week, and hope to see you all at Mass on Sunday.